Learning Objective 12.2, perform a horizontal analysis. When we talk about horizontal, we're talking about studying information, in this case percentages, year to year. And horizontal, if you can think about it in the context of the numbers, we may be looking at sales for 1 year and then for another year, so 2014, 15, 16, seeing how they look over time horizontally as they're looking across the page. It's listed horizontally. So that's why we often refer to this as horizontal analysis. We're going to be studying percentages from year to year. And there's 2 steps to compute. First, we have to compute the dollar amount of change from one period to the next, or the difference between 2 years. Whatever that change is, from one period to the next, we need that dollar amount first. Then once you have that dollar amount, from there you can then divide that dollar amount, that change, by the base period. Now the base period is usually the earliest year that you're analyzing. So we can take a look at horizontal analysis, specifically looking at net revenues between 2015 and 2016. The steps we have, we're going to take 16 and 15. We're going to take the revenues for 2016 and we're going to subtract the revenues from 2015. Now, if we take 16 and we subtract 15 and we end up with a positive number, then we know that's good because revenue went up. So 16 minus 15 gives us $862,022. That's just the difference between these two numbers. Now we're going to take this amount, $862,022, and we're going to divide that by the base year. The base year is almost always the earliest year. In this case, it's 2015. So let's check the numbers. So we have the revenues for 2016 and 2015. We're simply going to take 16 and subtract 15. And as the slide suggests, the difference is $862,022. This is likely in revenues. So this is in thousands as well. So this would be 862,022,000. And so we came up with the difference by taking the most recent year and subtracting by the base year. The base year is always the earliest year, 862,022 or 862,022,000. And then what we're going to do is take this amount, the change, and divide it by the base year. The base year is always the first year or the earliest year. In this example here, it's 3,963,313,000. So we're going to take 862,022,000 and divide that by 3,963,313,000. That gives us 0.22 or 22%, 21.8%, rounded to the nearest tenth of a percent. So the next slide shows you exactly what I just did. We took the difference between 16 and 15 and end up with 862,022,000. That's step number 1. And then we went through the process of computing the percentage change, which is the dollar amount of change that we just computed. That's the 862,022. And we're going to divide that by the base year amount, which is the 3,963,313, and that's going to give you the 21.8%. We just did that for net revenues, and we can see the difference between 15 and 16. In this example here, they're actually plotting the change between 15 and 16, the percentage change in the middle. So they're taking this amount, subtracting this amount, and then dividing that difference by this amount. Well, if you do this all the way down the income statement, you can then compute what those percentage changes are. Let's just do one more. We have the cost of goods sold. For 16, that dollar amount was 2584, 2584, 724. For 2015, it was 2057, 766. Change 526, 598. That's the difference between this and this. And then the percentage is 25.6, which is exactly what was computed here. This difference was computed by taking 16 minus 15. That's the difference. And then the percentage change is simply taking the dollar amount change and dividing it by the base year. In this example here, the base year is 2015, and that gives you 25.6%. You can just continue on doing the same computation all the way down, and you're going to get the percentage, the appropriate percentage computations. Now, what we've looked at and analyzed is the income statement, and that makes perfect sense, but you can also do the same kind of analysis on the balance sheet. And so you're going to be looking at specific individual line items that you would normally see on the assets area, the liabilities and stockholders' equity sections, and have 2 years, comparative years, so you run the same kind of computations. In this example here, we'll look at a couple, cash and cash equivalents. For December 31st, 2015, the dollar amount was $250,470,000. For 2015, it was $129,852,000. The difference, $120,618,000, which is a change of 92.9%. The way we compute the difference is we take 2016 number and we subtract from that the 2015 number. That gives you 120,618,000. We then take this change and divide it by the base year, which is 2015, and that gives us 0.93. As a percentage, it's 93% or 92.9% to the nearest 10. 92.9%. The next section is the liability and stockholders' equity section, and you do the exact same computations between 2 years. You can't see the title here, but this is 2016, this is 2015, this is the dollar change, and this is the percent change. Now, when we talk about horizontal analysis, we do like to perform trend percentages. And what trend percentages are a form of horizontal analysis. They indicate the direction a business is taking. In most cases, you're going to have a number of years that you're going to be comparing. More than 2, usually we're comparing just 2 and seeing the difference, but when we're doing trend percentages, we're probably looking over a number of years. We're going to select a base year, and that is equal to 100%. And then the amount of each following year is stated as a percentage of the base year. So where in the previous examples, we just took a look at 2 years, whatever years those are, the ones that are likely next to one another. When we're looking at trend percentages, we're going to find maybe 3, 4, 5 years, whatever number of years, usually more than 2. And we're going to pick the base year. The base year in almost all cases is going to be the earliest year. And then we're going to compute what the percentage is of each year following the base year. And that percentage is going to be based upon the base year. So here we have 14, 15, and 16. We're going to look strictly at income from operations. We just plot the dollar amounts for each year. And we're going to identify 2014, or the earliest year, as being the base year. So because 2014 is the base year, we're going to call that 100%. This dollar amount is the base, because if we look at this and compute the percentage, and this is the base, well, 353,955,000 divided by 353,955,000 is 1. And 1 as a percentage is 100%. So from here on, we're going to look at every year following 2014. We're going to start off with the base of 2014 and compute what is the following year's amount compared to the base of that. So in other words, 408,547 divided by the base year, 353,955. And then we're going to compute 2016 trend percentage, 417,471,000 divided by 353,955. Let's see how this looks on a spreadsheet. 2014, 15, and 16. We can go ahead and run the computations. 353,955,000 divided by, well, this is the base year, so we'll divide it by the base. It just happens to be the same number. Will give us 1, and as a percentage, to the nearest tenth of a percentage is 100%. For 2015, we're going to take 400 G4, which is G4, 408,547,000, and we're going to divide that by 353,955,000. That computation is going to give us 115.4%. And for 2016, this divided by this will give us 117.9%. Those percentages are consistent with what you see on the PowerPoint.